Okay, so I am back, as I promised, with the House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 1 breakdown. And guys, this episode did not hold back. As usual, spoiler alert. If you haven't watched Episode 1 yet, go watch it right now and then come back. Seriously, this one is worth going in fresh. Okay, so let's dive in. So the episode is called Salt and Sea, Fire and Blood. Already tells you everything you need to know. We are in war mode now. No more politics, no more secret meetings in the dark. It is time for blood. And the episode starts exactly where Season 2 left off, like literally seconds later. We open in the Vale, and the first face we see is not Rhaenyra, not Aemond, not Daemon, it is Rhaena Targaryen. And she is standing right in front of Sheepstealer, the wild dragon that nobody has been able to tame. Now, if you remember, Rhaena has been trying to claim a dragon for so long, and she kept getting passed over. And honestly, I always felt bad for her character because she is a Targaryen, and she deserves a dragon. So she walks up slowly, speaking High Valyrian, trying to calm him down. And guys, Sheepstealer actually lowers his body and lets her climb on. That is a big moment. She has done it. She has claimed one of the biggest wild dragons in the world. But the ride is not smooth. Sheepstealer launches off a cliff and tries to throw her off. It is a full will they won't they situation with a dragon. And honestly, this storyline is really interesting to me because in the books, the character who tames Sheepstealer is a girl called Nettles, and the show has basically replaced Nettles with Rhaena. That is a big change from the source material, and I want to see how they handle it going forward because Nettles has some really important story moments later on. Now we move to King's Landing, and this is where things get spicy immediately. Aemond finds out that King Aegon, his own brother, the actual king, has run away, escaped the city in the back of a cart with Larys Strong. And Aemond is furious because now the whole mess has been dropped on his lap. He is suddenly the one in charge of King's Landing, with Rhaenyra's forces getting ready to move. Now, here is something that happened that honestly made me uncomfortable, and I think it was supposed to. Alicent goes to Aemond, and she needs to convince him to leave King's Landing and fly to Harrenhal, because if Aemond stays, Rhaenyra cannot take the city safely. Remember, Alicent made that promise to Rhaenyra at the end of Season 2. So Alicent is playing this very careful game, trying to keep her word without losing her son. And she tells Aemond he should have been king. She is working him emotionally. And then Aemond kisses her, his own mother, on the lips. And it is not a quick kiss. He instigates it fully, and Alicent barely holds herself together. Now look, I know this show is based on a world where Targaryens marry siblings. Game of Thrones already had Cersei and Jaime, but this felt really wrong on a different level. Mother and son is something else. The show is clearly going darker with its moral choices, and I think that is intentional. They want you to feel uncomfortable watching Aemond because he is slipping into a very bad place. But still, man, that scene was a lot. And Alicent eventually convinces him. He agrees to fly to Harrenhal, and she promises to meet him there after she leaves the city. Now, while all of this is happening, Aegon and Larys are already out on the road trying to escape. They get stopped by Rhaenyra's soldiers, who recognize Aegon. Larys, ever the snake, immediately switches sides. He swears fealty to Rhaenyra on the spot, and he gives up Aegon to save his own skin. These two are taken prisoner and sent to Dragonstone, and Aegon is broken. He is in physical pain from his injuries. He knows he has lost the throne. He knows he is finished. And there is something almost sad about it, even though he has been awful. He went from king to prisoner in a cart. That is a long fall. Now over at Dragonstone, Rhaenyra gets word that the Triarchy fleet is closing in on the Gullet. For those who need a quick geography reminder, the Gullet is the channel that leads from the narrow sea right toward Blackwater Bay, which sits right outside King's Landing. Control the Gullet, you control the shipping lanes, and Corlys Velaryon, the sea snake, has his fleet out there. So Rhaenyra immediately wants to ride out on Syrax and join the fight herself. She puts on her riding gear, she is ready to go. And that is when Jace steps in and does something that honestly I have mixed feelings about. He orders the Queensguard to lock his mother in her chambers. He literally has the queen locked up by her own guards. He says he is doing it to protect her, and then he and Baela ride out on their dragons, Vermax and Moondancer. Now, I understand Jace's thinking. He does not want to lose his mother in battle.
But Rhaenyra is not just any rider. She is the queen, and she is an experienced dragon rider. She was ready, and instead, she is left stabbing at a dress in her room, completely furious, saying, I might appear to have the weak and feeble body of a woman, but I possess the heart and spirit of a king. That line hit hard, because the show is pointing something out here. Even in her own camp, Rhaenyra is being sidelined because of her gender. Her own son did to her what the men of Westeros have always done. It is actually a brilliant piece of writing when you think about it. And Mysaria is there watching all of this happen. Now let's talk about the main event, the Battle of the Gullet. And guys, this battle is incredible. The showrunner called it arguably the craziest episode of television ever made. And honestly, after watching it, I understand why he said that. This is a 25-minute action sequence, and it is intense from start to finish. So Corlys is out at sea with his fleet, and he is trying to deal with Shirako Lohar, the Triarchy's commander. And Lohar is dangerous and smart. She has giant ballista weapons on her ships, basically harpoon launchers. Jace flies in on Vermax, and at first, the dragons are giving the Blacks a clear advantage, because who can fight a dragon from a ship, right? But Lohar uses one of her ballistae to fire a massive weighted spear at Vermax, catching him and dragging him toward the water. It looked very similar to what happened to Rhaegal in Game of Thrones Season 8, except this time it is done way better and feels earned. Baela swoops in on Moondancer and cuts the chain that is dragging Vermax down, saving him, but it is a close call. Meanwhile, Corlys tries to lure Lohar into a narrow, rocky passage near Dragonstone, a passage only he knows how to navigate at low tide. His plan is that Lohar's ship will either wreck on the rocks or turn back. It almost works. But Lohar is not a normal commander. She literally throws her own soldiers overboard, the Lannister men, all in heavy armor, just tossed into the sea to lighten the ship. She cuts every anchor, and she gets through. And then she rams Corlys's ship head-on and boards it. What follows is brutal ship-to-ship fighting, and it is some of the best action this show has ever done. During the chaos, Corlys gets thrown overboard. We do not see him die, and I personally think he is alive. He is too important to the story to just disappear without a proper death scene. His son Alan of Hull sees it happen, and the rage takes over. He gets into a brutal fight with Lohar below deck in a flooding ship, and he kills her. So Lohar, who was just introduced, is already gone. But her impact on this battle is massive. And now the biggest moment of the episode. Vermax gets hit again. This time, the dragon hits the water, and Jace has to let go of Vermax and swim for his life. He manages to surface. He grabs a piece of floating wood. He is alive. And then, and this is brutal, a volley of arrows rains down on him. Multiple arrows. He dies instantly. Jace is gone. I did not expect them to kill Jace in episode 1. I thought they would stretch this out, but they did it immediately, and it changes everything for this season. Because now, Rhaenyra has lost another son. Luke died in season 2. Now Jace. She has one son left, Joffrey, who is just a child. And I think this is going to absolutely break Rhaenyra. She locked herself in her room to protect him from battle, and she still lost him. And that irony is going to hit her like a wall when she finds out. The episode ends with Rhaena and Sheepstealer flying away from the battle, Baela surveying the wreckage on Moondancer, and then we cut to black. Now for my predictions going forward, I think this season is going to be the darkest one yet. Rhaenyra has the political upper hand right now. Aemond is out of King's Landing, Aegon is captured, and Alicent has kept her promise. She should be able to walk into King's Landing, but this is House of the Dragon. Nothing goes to plan. And with Jace's death, Rhaenyra's mental state going into episode 2 is going to be really important to watch. She was already furious at being locked up. Imagine finding out that the reason Jace locked her up was so that he could go die in her place. Also, the 3 dragonseeds, Ulf, Hugh, and Adam, are still out there at Harrenhal, and Alice Rivers basically told them to move. These 3 are going to be huge this season. In the books, 2 of them betray Rhaenyra at a critical moment. If the show follows that, it is going to be devastating. Keep an eye on these 3. And Daemon. We barely saw him this episode, but he is out there winning battles. He beheaded Jason Lannister through Roderick Dustin and the Rivermen. Daemon is in full war mode, and I think he is building towards something that is going to either save Rhaenyra or destroy everything she has worked for. Because Daemon always does both at the same time. Overall, this episode gets a 9 out of 10 from me. The Battle of the Gullet delivered everything it promised. Jace's death was shocking and well handled. The Aemond and Alicent scene was uncomfortable in exactly the way it needed to be, and the Rhaena and Sheepstealer storyline was a really nice emotional opening. The only reason it is not a 10 is because I think some characters got very little screen time, and a few things moved a bit fast. But as a season opener, this is one of the best episodes this show has done. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed this, smash the like button and subscribe because we are covering every single episode of House of the Dragon Season 3 right here. Let me know in the comments, were you shocked by Jace's death? Did you see it coming? drop it below. And I will see you next week for episode 2. Peace.